What's up? I'm Dan Fredenberg, and this is another Chance Encounter. Hey, what's up? I'm Dan Fredenberg. I'm a commercial real estate guy. I'm from the internet. Power lines that are just kind of close. What's up again? This is Dan Fredenberg. I am joined today with Mr. International, Lawrence Latty. How you doing today, Lawrence?
Hey Dan, how you doing? Thank you for inviting me here.
This is really awesome. So is that home in is that Boogie Down there? Is
And
that
that's
the
just a boogie
Bronx?
down. That's just a background I like about
Okay, there you
my
go. Yeah.
screenshot. That's
All right. So maybe you'll have to get some good photos taken on your phone. Get that as your background, right?
yes, indeed. Yes, that's a definite must. That's a must.
All right, good stuff. So normally we don't get into that type of geography in Chance Encounters, but today's a little bit different. If you haven't seen a Chance Encounter before, the way it works is I interview commercial real estate investors, and then I've narrowed down the motivations for getting your next commercial deal down to five. I go through each one of them and I say, hey, which one's you? And then I pull out the Dan Does Deal die, which has six sides, six-sided die. I go through the six different roles in a commercial deal, taking it down, possibly fixing it up, or possibly flipping it, and say, what's your core competency that you're most likely to contribute to your next deal? But before that, I ask the most difficult question, which is, Lawrence, can you please introduce yourself to the audience?
My name is Lawrence Latty, also known as Mr. International on the Zoom circuit. I'm from the Bronx, the BX, and I'm just recently retired from New York City Transit Authority, where I did 41 years of civil service. Also, I'm an owner of 6 units here in the New York City area in the Bronx also. And I'm just looking to expand and scale up into the small multifamily market. And I also have a meetup on Tuesday nights at 7 p.m. called Financial Independence Through Small Multifamily Investing.
All right, beautiful, beautiful. And that brings us to our first segment. I go through the different motivations that somebody may have for getting their next commercial deal. And that's because if I'm talking to a beginner investor, they might know their motivation, but they might not know the role they're going to play. So the five different motivations. The first one is preserving purchasing power. This is a common one for family offices. Anybody who uses their cash flow from their wealth to make ends meet. The thing that they have to be making more and more acquisitions for is to stave off the effects of inflation. And therefore, their form of cost of living. So preserving purchasing power. If you've got a very substantial nest egg, that's going to be the one. But the next one is my one, which is trading time for wealth. My background is in tech. Tech people are high earners, but that means we pay way more tax than anybody else. And so it made sense to me to pivot and say, hey, if I'm on GP teams, then I'm actually getting equity in return for my effort and time, which is way better. Because after all, what's the point of earning it if you don't get to keep it? So speaking of which, the next one is fast tracking retirement. It's the most common answer. Of course, if you're like, say, in your early 20s and you say that you're fast tracking your retirement, I simply won't believe you. But the other important thing about fast tracking retirement is it implies that there's an end goal in mind. Okay, in other words, there's a point where they're going to say it's like financially enough is enough. I've got enough to live where I want to live, so I'm just going to focus on having a good time instead of hustling. But that's in contrast to the next group. They're super ambitious. They want to buy their entire hometown and nothing's going to stop them. They're going to be hustling into their 90s, and that's a very valuable motivation in a team of GPs, because you don't want people resting on their laurels too much. But that brings us to our last reason, the last motivation, which is some people have a section of society, or maybe it's the rainforest, or maybe it's animals. Who knows what it is, but they want to make an impact on society, and they probably realize that accumulating wealth is by far the most effective vehicle for making that kind of impact in society. So those are 5 different motivations I've found, and everybody's a different combination of them, or one's bigger than the other. But for you, Lawrence, which ones resonate with you the most?
I would say the resonates with me most is irrational need to help the tenants.
Good stuff.
Really, it's more like an impact helping somebody out. That's all.
Right. Yeah. Just everybody needs a nice place to live. It really is a service, and I
Hmm.
like to point out that pretty much everybody would pay a maid if they could. And like, what are you doing in an apartment complex? You're paying people to make sure there's no trash in the hallways and everything's all nice and taken care of. So I don't
Exactly.
think there's
Exactly.
anything to be ashamed about. You're definitely providing a service. But that brings us to the roles. So let's talk about what you do in a co-GP situation. So for those of you who don't understand commercial deals yet, this is how they work. So a repositioner is the first person that we're going to talk about. They look at a lot of different properties, a lot of different deals. They have to underwrite them, which is a fancy word to mean they do the math. They find out how many units there are, how much money's coming in, just making sure that the business actually works. But the bigger thing that they have to do as a repositioner to reposition the property is they got to find upside. They got to find a way to make more money come in from that property than it is at that particular moment. And the 2 main ways that they're going to get that upside is either more efficient operations. And so that would mean that they're finding expenses to cut and be more efficient, perhaps like water, water expenses going down the drain. I've also got these Benjamins going down the toilet here because there are other parts of operations that might not be so obvious, like, bookkeeping, or in my case, I have this marketing background. So making sure that the vacancy rate is low is also part of the operations. So the repositioner might be able to find some upside with those operations optimizations, but chances are that won't cut it these days because it's such a hot market. So often you have to have a contractor team to make the place actually nicer, and that way you can charge more in rent. And if you're like me and you're from the internet, you're also going to need boots on the ground. You're going to need a local. You're going to need somebody who can be there in an hour, because I won't. I won't even find my passport in an hour, more likely than not. But yeah, so those are the 4 everyday sort of roles that people understand. But there's more to it, of course. Of course, there's the money piece. You got to go to a bank and say, hey, I need millions of dollars to buy this property that's worth millions of dollars. And what they're going to say is, okay, look at the property. Okay, this is your plan. Okay, that all makes sense. But who's your sponsor is what they're going to ask. And if you're in a lot of coaching programs, they kind of skim over that sponsor role. And the sponsor is the person who, if you want to get a loan for, say, a 350 unit apartment complex, somebody in the fold has to already own a 350 unit apartment complex. Even if you're Elon Musk or something like that, if you want the loan, somebody has to have a similar asset. There also has to be a certain amount of liquidity, in other words, cash on hand. And you also have to have a balance sheet equal to or greater than the amount of the loan. But those are the 6 roles in a commercial deal. So, Lawrence, what is your core competency that you'd be most likely to contribute to a deal, keeping in mind that a capital raising function would also be a financier? Sometimes that's not so clear.
I'd be more like asset management.
Asset management. Mm-hmm.
Asset management, because of the fact that I've had time, because my parents started this process for me, the real estate, when I was in 71. I'm dating myself, but I've been doing this for a while, so I'm pretty good with tenants. I'm pretty good at knowing what needs to get done, right? And I'm pretty good at repairing stuff, which is sort of held me back sometimes too. But
Mm-hmm.
I sort of know, what's going on and how it should be done.
Yeah, one thing I found is kind of interesting, and maybe you don't want to comment on it, is when I meet more and more investors, I keep on sniffing out. It's like, I don't think this person's ever lived in an apartment. And I think that's really important. If you're going to be in the apartment building, you got to know what's going through your tenants' heads in order to
Right.
do a great job of it, right? Like, am I off base on that, or what are
I,
your
I don't
thoughts?
think I don't think you need to do because like you had your cube or your
Hmm.
die has different aspects. So
Yeah.
therefore, it's like being in the real estate world right now. You're gonna have to have knowledge of everything because you can have other people out there who can help you. But this person here, for me, I live in an apartment. I was born, raised in Harlem, and we moved when my father moved to the Bronx. He bought his first house, right? They talk about house hacking. There's a lot of old timers I hear house before the term was house hacking. They house hacked before, right? So you
Right.
learn as you go along.
Mm.
So that's what happened to me. My father lived upstairs. We had pen tenants downstairs. We worked on downstairs and fixing up and everything else. So that's how I come about my knowledge.
All right, good stuff, good stuff. And as far as ideal properties go, what's more difficult for you to say no for? So, as far as like geographic areas, unit counts, and class, the property class.
When you say that, I don't understand what you mean by that.
So we all end up looking through all sorts of deals, and
Mm-hmm.
so like some people, if it's in Idaho, they're like, "Oh, goody," and other people they hear Idaho and they're like, "Eh,"
Okay.
it's like, what geographic areas are you particularly interested in acquisitions, and what's the size of the property that is really the sweet spot for
Okay.
you and your circle?
Okay. Well, right now, for me, my geography, I have three different areas I'm looking in.
Hmm.
I'm looking in the Piedmont Triad area, which is Winston-Salem, Greensboro, and a High Point in North Carolina. I'm
Hmm.
also looking in Virginia, specifically Newport. Well, not Newport, the Hampton Roads area, Norfolk area. Also looking at Richmond a little bit, and also looking at Huntsville, Alabama. My sweet spot is 50 units and below,
Hmm.
right? Because I think right now, with all this, the way real estate is going right now, 100 units is not, it's something that I think that's the rave. Everybody's looking for that. Therefore, I think they're leaving out. They're missing out on the sweet spot. I think is smaller multifamily. Also by reaching out and calling direct the owner. Also,
Hmm. Hmm. All right, awesome, awesome. And we met through some meetups that I found through LinkedIn. Is
right.
that the best way to reach out to you, or is there a website that's better? Or
No, reach out to me through LinkedIn. Right, that's the best way to get to me. Also, and I'm old fashioned, so my number is 646-250-8430. I'm trying to use Calendly, but it's hard.
yeah, well, I mean, maybe we can iron that out for you. And if we get the link, I can slap it in the description of this video. So
I,
make sure
I,
you do that.
I gotta recant. I'm working on because I don't like to use the word try because try is a negative connotation.
Yeah, yeah, there you go. Yeah, it's I say try just to be modest. That's when it comes to me and technology, that's always the way it's been. Is
Mm-hmm.
that I'll find a way. I might not like it, but it'll still work out. But speaking of technology and all that kind of stuff, I have something quick to say to you in the camera there, which is, if you look under my hand over here, you'll see a red button that says subscribe in red. It should make you angry. It makes me angry. What makes me not angry is gray, okay? And if you click on it, it'll turn gray, and then you'll be subscribed. It doesn't cost you anything, but it means that YouTube pays for these videos instead of me, which is much, much, much better. So pretty please do that. It just adds these videos to your list of suggestions if YouTube decides to be nice to me, and there is no real guarantee of that anyway. But Lawrence, that's how people can help me. One thing I love about commercial real estate is how helpful everybody is, because they're not all the sides of the die. They need help and they need to know everybody, because you never know
Right.
what's going to come together. But
Yes.
without breaking any SEC restrictions, which means you're not allowed to entice investors, can you describe the person that you can help in real estate more than others? Like
But
maybe a
I
beginner
think I
or
can
an
help
operator
through
or
education.
Sure.
because like because of the meetup that I had, the meetup that I host, right? I think a lot of times people have open the hose up on people, and they're like, right? I think I can help people because I can keep it real. I like the KISS principle, which is keep it simple, right? And when you keep things simple for people, it helps them understand better. And I can help you by educating them. Also, I can by through my family, right? I'm not trying working on them, putting them to the fold to help them understand that real estate is the way to go, right? And obviously, also real estate may be the way to go for me, but it may be the way for you. But if you don't know, you don't know if something is for you or not, if you don't get some knowledge about it.
Excellent, excellent. Thank you so much for joining me today. This has been really amazing getting to know you a little bit better, Mr. International.
Well, thank you, Dan. And I just want to say, yes, I subscribe. So don't forget, subscribe. Hit the red button.
That's right. You've had a finger waggle. All right. See you soon. All right, bye.